112. Hello everyone. Welcome to MegaCon. We still have even more panels going. How are we all doing? One person. Thank you. Anyway, welcome to the Cosplay Collaboration panel. So we're here with two of our wonderful cosplayers, as you can see, dressed in brightly coloured outfits. Guys, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do?
Hello, I am Emberwolf. If you've seen me anywhere, you've probably seen me on TikTok doing silly dances and things. I have been a cosplayer for around 13 years now. I tend to do sort of unusual characters, like today I am Angel Dust from Has Been Hotel. I also like to do a lot of Disney characters and things.
My name is TearaStar. I do a lot of anime, gaming, cosplay, mainly on TikTok and Instagram.
That's very quiet.
Is it?
You guys can hear.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me all right?
Oh, there we go.
Oh, okay, fine. TearaStar again. I do a lot of gaming cosplays, anime cosplays, Pokemon cosplays, and yeah, I mostly post on TikTok, Instagram, and now YouTube.
So
don't forget Twitch.
And Twitch. I know this kind of thing that you're looking to do. When did you first start doing this, and actually, what led you down? We have to start somewhere. Let's talk about how you guys started. What's the thing that actually got you? Said 13 years ago is when you started. What was the thing that got you into it? Was it coming to shows like this and seeing other people, or was it just a desire to put together a costume for a character you liked?
So I touched on base about this a little bit yesterday. I actually started cosplay because it's something I spotted on Facebook. I saw a Facebook friend go to one, and I've always been kind of odd, and at that point, honestly, didn't really have many friends, was kind of lonely. And I saw all these people dressed up in costumes, playing games, doing all these interesting things, and I was like, I want to be a part of that. And that's how I actually got into Comic-Cons and cosplay. And the first cosplay I ever did, and this will be a throwback for a lot of people, is Yuki Cross from Vampire Night.
Vampire Night.
Vampire Night. That's, yeah.
I actually didn't know that.
Did you not? Big throwback. Yeah. But that's how I got into it, and then met so many amazing people like TearaStar, and made basically lifelong friends from it, and yeah, never changed anything about that now.
Some of those people who you've met, you now collaborate with, but we'll come back to that because that's a segue. Sophie, tell us a little bit about the thing that actually sort of got you to. Is it fairly similar?
Mine's actually quite funny because so I'd heard about Comic-Cons, and I've obviously always been a little bit outside of the bubble. I was a girl who liked games in the 90s. Not for girls, apparently. And I was into, anime, and I was like, oh, this is something I'm interested in. This con looks really interesting. And my friends were going, and they were like, but Sophie, you have to go and cosplay. It's mandatory. I was like, what do you mean it's mandatory? They're like, if you go not in cosplay, people will laugh at you. So I panicked, like a week before con. I was like, oh, I've got to put a cosplay together and go. I paid for the tickets, I paid for the event. Get to the event, and they're like, ha ha. People walking around not in cosplay, and I was like, wow.
Telling your mate it's a fancy dress party when it's a black tie event. Yeah.
And it was fine because I was like, yeah, I really enjoyed being in cosplay. I really enjoyed the interactions with people because I was meeting people that were as passionate about Kingdom Hearts, because my first cosplay was Namine from Kingdom Hearts, as I was, and it was a new experience for me. I hadn't spoken to people who were the equal level of as obsessed as I was with the fandoms. And I just was like, oh my god, these are all the people that have the same interests as me. If I keep going to these events, I'll meet more people like this. And then I also just enjoyed the aspect of dressing up. I thought it was fun. I had so many characters. I was like, oh, I'm going to do Tifa Lockhart, she's my favourite. And then it just kind of evolved from there. And eventually it just became like a escape for me. I would go every single con I could afford to go. And lucky enough, now I'm here, so...
You get to come on stage and talk about the cosplays that you guys do, which I imagine 13 years ago, thinking about the person you were then, imagining this, that's a hell of a journey.
I don't think my childhood self would believe me, because I used to be, funny enough, if anyone took a picture of me, I would have a strop. I did not like photos being taken of me, or anything like that, and now
you post on Instagram every day.
I post on Instagram every day.
So let's talk about these sort of things that people do for collaborations in cosplay, because you two famously, if you have various photos and a lot of TikToks that you guys do together. So what's the philosophy behind doing collaborations? Is it just to do something maybe as a duo? Is it even to have some kind of crossover of two different fandoms? What do you tend to think about? How do you approach it?
Well, it depends, because for me and Ember, we usually, because we're besties, is like, oh, this would be really fun. We know all these TikTok dances we want to do together, and usually a cosplay forms from that. But there's also the other side of it, is where we did a really big Sonic group at a previous con, like about 12 people, and we'd all dressed as Sonic. And that was a really fun experience of collaborating with loads of different content creators, making content, and just having a blast, like just having a fun time. It was something everyone was passionate about. And I think when it comes to collaboration, I think it's important to, you know, be with people that you can have a laugh with, be comfortable with, and treat it as this is a fun day out with my friends.
It's also a case of, I feel like as well, I feel like a running theme recently is a lot of cosplayers losing motivation for cosplay.
Yeah.
And sometimes doing it on your own can be a bit, you don't have the motivation, but if you're doing it as a group or if you're doing it with a best friend, you guys can bounce ideas off each other and go from there, and it normally makes it a little bit more fun, especially sometimes with cosplay being sort of part of our work. Some weeks are easier than others because it can be quite stressful for many things. For if we've had a bad week of like people trolling us and things, because like even though we're used to it, we're still human. It can still take a toll. So sometimes having that support from a friend helps a little bit, and sort of like
ignites the fire, doesn't it? It's like I'm suddenly again passionate about this cosplay.
Yeah,
it's like our Angel and Stitch.
Yeah,
we did. Funny enough, we did a duo cosplay yesterday. But, and we were like, a bit stressed about it to the build-up, but then we started talking about it. It was like all of a sudden exciting again.
Yeah, exactly. Because like especially me and you recently here and there have been like up and down, whether we want to get in cosplay and things, but then talking about future plans together.
Yeah, we started talking again. We're like, oh, we're going to do this next. We're going to make an armor build for our Angel and Stitch cosplays, you know.
Yeah, it makes it a little bit more fun. Yeah.
What are some of the challenges that you face when trying to come up with content together? I guess it's because you're friends, it's a bit easier for you two to know what you both like and ways of spinning the idea. But so for instance, if you're working together on making TikToks, how do you choose who gets the video? Or do you film 5 and you film 5?
Basically so. We just mix and match. Kind of like, do you know what, you have that one, I'll do that one. This is a good idea, you do that one. It's like a 50-50 thing. So we will discuss it, and if there's one audio one of us is super passionate about, we'll be like, cool, you record that on your phone. But even so, because the way they change social media now, on Instagram we can do collab posts, so it takes like some of the stress away, because we're posting on both accounts at the same time.
Yeah.
So it's more like a 50-50 thing. I think that's important to like communicate when you are doing collaboration stuff. It's unfair for one person to get all the content and the other person not to.
Do you ever dispute the videos you have you ever had an argument about one where you're like, I kind of really love this?
No, it's pretty free. Like whenever we get together to do co-ops with any of our friends, really, we never really like have any
really. No, I wouldn't say so. I don't think we've ever had a disagreement about it. It's just always been like, that's done well, yay! It's you know,
pretty generally collaborative, I suppose.
Yes.
Which brings us back. So we've talked about you guys working together as friends and also working with a group of people. Are these typically all people that you're friends with, or do you ever actually maybe work with people who are a bit more strangers? So for instance, let's say you were dressed as Uraraka, which you've done before, and you meet a Midoriya cosplayer.
It's so funny that you're saying that, because that's the example I was going to use. So my friend, who's a good friend of mine now, called Zach, he dressed as Deku, and we had like, when we dressed up as these characters, this is when My Hero Academia was big. So we just got swarmed. So whether we were like knew each other or not, this was a couple kind of cosplay by the end of it. And we ended up becoming really good friends because we enjoyed obviously each other's cosplay, we were having a laugh, we were making content, and it was all spontaneous. We had not collaborated our content, we had not collaborated the fact we were going to do content together until the next time we met. So that whole day we'd have done like loads of like cute little videos, because back then it wasn't as video heavy, it was more photo heavy. And we were doing don't know if you remember the meme where you put if someone puts their hand out and then you put their head on it, like that. We were doing that, like from afar, I would like here, and he would put his head on my hand, and we'd do the reverse. So we were doing like stuff like that, but we'd never met. This was our first day meeting each other, and we just kind of vibed and had a lot of charisma together right away. And you were joining as well, because you were dressed as Deku as well.
And that's how we all, well, I was already friends with you.
Yeah,
that's how we became friends with Zach as well.
Yeah, it was just, it's funny because obviously when you find someone who's matching a cosplay with you, it just kind of happens organically. Like my best friend Jess cosplayed Cloud Strife, and I was dressed as Aerith. At the time, I had barely spoken to this girl, and I hear from the other end of the con, Aerith! Someone shouting me, and I'm like, I am dressed as Aerith, it must be me. And she ran point blank at me, was like, we need to do a shoot, we need to do a shoot, because it was like a cute, like, and then we developed, we're now best friends. So like that formed just
How
from
long ago was
communication.
this?
Oh, like I want to say 2016.
Long time.
Yeah, so this is like the first year I got proper into cosplay again.
Around the time I met your fiancé.
That is true, yes. About right, yeah, I would say so.
And interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't know that it was only then. It feels like you guys have always been friends.
No, yeah.
I suppose you have been in the time I've known you.
Pretty much, because we've been friends about the same amount of time as well.
Yeah.
When did you two meet?
We actually met at Liverpool Con, but you were a little bit shy.
I was quite
then.
shy, but I'm still a little bit shy, but not as shy as I used to be. I
Can't remember, you've been incredibly confident on this stage, talking about cosplay and things.
There was a point where I'd never be able to do this. Like, if it was me that year, I probably would be like, oh, absolutely not.
Yeah.
But cosplay and stuff actually, and my friends have actually built my confidence up to be able to do more things and appearances on stages and things. But I think
we just met in passing, didn't we?
Was that 2016?
Yeah, so
2016.
I met you technically before Jess, but it was so in passing that it's funny because I didn't think about that interaction until we became good friends. And I said to you, do you remember when we met at this con? And you were like, I don't remember, I was really anxious that day.
So it was kind of a non-meeting.
Yeah,
It was also blinded by anxiety as well.
Yeah, we did speak, but it was very brief.
It was a busy convention as well, so I was a little bit like...
Oh, you were overwhelmed. You
Yeah.
was Princess Mononoke. Yeah.
Something I'd like to ask is sort of about the direction of, let's stick with photo shoots, for instance, when it comes to collaborating. So do you have, if it's a coupley one, or maybe it's a kind of crossover fandom that you think people might want to see, how do you tend to go about maybe directing photo shoots with someone who you don't really necessarily know that?
That's a good one. I think it's like, because with Zach, we just was like, it was this immediate kind of like a consent talk, so to speak. It was like, are you comfortable holding hands for a picture? Are you comfortable with a kiss on the cheek? Are you comfortable with this?
Yeah.
Him, vice versa to me. I'm like, yeah, this will be fun. It'd be great for content. I ship these characters. It's cool. So it's very clear to make that consent on the underline first, and then it just kind of, it was like, okay, that's cool, but then we'll progress into kind of the standard coupley poses. Yeah. So it was, I think that would be the best way to explain it. I think it's important to discuss what people's boundaries are, especially with someone new.
Yeah.
Communication is important.
And then I feel like pictures like that, especially with a coupley cosplay, are the kind of like,
You need to talk about it first
and
before you
it's
do
also
shoot.
kind of like obvious most of the poses, you know, like, and if it's particularly cutesy characters, you kind of know to do it cuter.
Yeah.
If it's more passionate characters, you know to do it a bit more passionate. And lucky enough, usually if that is an organic thing that happens, the cosplays, people obviously know what they're cosplaying, so they'll know in detail these characters, and you'll be able to talk it and find out or balance where the characters work, even though it's a stranger.
Yeah, so actually in a few weeks' time, I'm doing a collaboration shoot, because I sometimes do collaboration shoots with friends that are from Europe. And normally what we do is if we have ideas for groups, we will have a group chat and then we'll be discussing the ideas, putting the ideas in the group chat from Pinterest, poses and things, and locations and stuff, and we all sort of talk. And if there's ever like a cosplayer that we've not met before, we'll sort of like introduce ourselves, like, oh, well, hello, I'm this person, etc. And then we'll have a chat, and then if someone's not comfortable with certain things, we'll make sure to talk about that, because we're doing actually quite a shippy thing, which is, if anyone's familiar with old school anime, it's Oran High School Host Club. So we're all doing characters from that, which is like, it's kind of like a romance anime. So we've all been planning it for a while, and there are a couple of people who I've not really met before. So we all just talk about things, make sure we're all comfortable. We'll do that on the day as well. It's always good to make sure, like, if you're doing collabs, especially like romance things, that everyone's like happy with what's going on and stuff.
Something I'd like to move on to, because you brought up group stuff a couple of times. And one thing that you'll notice, and I'm sure a lot of people who are cosplayers here would have seen before, is that people do My Hero Academia meetups, fan meetups, and you get people who are all cosplayers who come together, and they'll take a big shot, or maybe they'll find these people to do shoots with. Would you say for cosplayers, if they maybe don't have a huge network of other cosplayers, that these are the place to find
It's how I started making friends. I would go to the Final Fantasy meet, I would go to the Pokemon meet, I would go to this meet. It's a really good way to network, because you already know you have something in common with the people in this meet, because they're all interested in the same thing you are.
It's instant mutual ground.
Yeah, it's like anything. It's like when you dress as a character and someone comes up to you. I was dressed as a character that's really niche. It's called Celes from Final Fantasy 6. And someone was so excited to see me. They were like, they'd never seen a Celes cosplay, and it made their absolute day, because they were just as passionate as I was about it.
Is 6 your favourite?
No.
Is 8 or 9?
Nine.
And 8 is 8 Liams.
8's Liams.
And do you ever go for your favourite kind of ones, so your favourite games, or do you tend to...
Funny enough, I'm not cosplayed from Final Fantasy 9.
Is that because you love it so much you don't want to ruin it for yourself?
Well, I'm just scared, and the cosplays are very hard. I do want to cosplay a character called Beatrix, but I know how to do the wig now, but I still want to get to the point where I could get the skills right for it. So it's on the back burner for that reason.
And Emma, coming up to you for the same point about the group meetups, do you agree with Sophie's take on go there and find people to meet up and network with?
So I would say so, yeah. So with meetups and stuff, that's how I have met like quite a few people. Like an example, I went to CosplaCon in America about a couple of weeks ago, and I actually met a few people there and became mutuals with them online through liking Hasbin Hotel and Helena Boss. So yeah, I think it is a good way to meet people. Obviously, at the same time, if you ever do meets and stuff, always be safe, always take a friend. But I'd say so, yeah, definitely.
The last thing I want to ask before we bring it to an end is less the idea of doing photos or videos with other cosplayers, but actually the idea of collaborating with crafters or other people who maybe help you with parts of your costume. Because I know that both of you do a lot of stuff yourself, but do you also sometimes maybe have people you know who are crafters?
Yeah, we both have a mutual friend called Molly who does commission stuff. The ears she's wearing right now, Molly has done.
And how do you meet people like Molly?
Actually, Molly was just a good friend, but there is there's a lot of people that do that as a job. They will make, like, if you're not very good at sewing cosplays, that is a way to go. Commission it, you're very passionate about this character, give back to the community, because cosplayers will do it, because cosplayers make that as a living. And if you search around on it, you'll find them. Yeah. But like Molly is a good friend of ours, and I've commissioned, actually recently, Benedicta from Final Fantasy 16 for her. So I think it's like that. With collaborating that, I plan to tag her in everything I post, and plan to advertise the fact that she has made this outfit, not me, because I would like her to get more work.
Yeah, absolutely. She's actually here this weekend as well. She has a stall over that way. She's made my ears and things, and she's actually made my partial fursuit. She's very, very talented. So she does everything: cosplay, fursuits. But we met through mutual friends.
Yeah,
that's how because it's like a chain effect. When you meet one cosplayer, they'll normally know someone who does another cosplay or crafting or anything like that. It's like a chain snowball effect. Yeah.
So the networking from these events and going to the meetups all sort of blends together in the other cosplayers, the people who provide props to the cosplayers, maybe even the cosplayers are also prop makers themselves because they make their own, like to outsource what they do. So basically, the sort of massive community collaboration is the ultimate collaboration.
Yeah, I would say so. Basically, yeah.
What a place to finish this because it was really nice to talk to you about this both, because we're both excellent cosplayers who've done a lot of collaborations, not only with each other, but with a litany of other cosplayers. So really appreciate talking to you guys about this. Guys, give it up for Emberwolf and TearaStar. Amazing cosplay collab. I was trying to come up with a three-word alliteration. Cosplay collab, compadres. Thank you very much. See you guys later.
Thank you.